address in 2 minutes. A round of applause for him, please. Thank you very much, sir.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, my colleagues in the federal cabinet, investors, patriots from the diaspora, and gentlemen of the media. It's a pleasure to be here with you and to exchange ideas with our Dele Alake from the diaspora. Well, the theme of this conference is, as it says, investment. The essence is to drive investment into Nigeria's economic space. With regards to solid minerals specifically, I'm sure those of you who have jackpot, for a while, will realize that before you left, Nigeria operated a monocultural economy, which was largely dependent on petroleum, oil. And that was the mainstay of the Nigerian economy for decades. But unfortunately, while we were awash with the revenue accruing from the petroleum, I call it inflow of petrodollars. Ideally, if we were in the same climb in those days or years, we should have channeled the accrued revenue from the petroleum sector into regenerative, constructive sectors of the economy. But we had too much money and we didn't know what to do with the money. And so we embarked on a consumption spree. And rather than utilizing those hard-earned petrodollars very wisely and judiciously, we started a session of luxuriant consumption, and what I call extravagance, flamboyance, which also led to the massive erosion of values of the Nigerian society as we knew it. And of course, normally what would happen when you embark on deconstructive investment and channeling funds into non-regenerative sectors of the economy, the entire economy would collapse. And that's what we witnessed in Nigeria. There's no use denying the obvious truth. Now, at the advent of this government, the Bola Tinubu administration, you all recall the mantra of the government is renewed hope agenda. And that renewed hope agenda has one of its critical core elements, the diversification of the Nigerian economy, away from fossil fuel, away from petroleum. And there were two very important reasons that really made the Bola Tinubu government to make diversification of the economy a core item on the agenda, the renewed hope agenda. One is the fact that the world today is moving rapidly into green energy. There's a global movement towards green energy. And the resources necessary to power this green energy are solid minerals. So it was actually an economic imperative for us to diversify into judicious exploitation of our solid minerals in Nigeria. Secondly is the fact that if the world is moving rapidly towards energy transition, it then means in the medium to longer term, less money, less revenue will be accruing to the country from petroleum. So again, We didn't have a choice. If we were going to put Nigeria on a progressive economic trajectory, then we needed to really be serious with diversification of the economy. And that was what the Bola Ahmed Tinubu government is doing. Now, on assumption of office, about 2 years ago, and I was seconded to the solid mineral sector. We did a survey of the landscape, the entire ecosystem of the solid mineral sector in Nigeria, and we discovered quite a number of challenges. The first assignment was to put a solid mineral sector on the global map. And so my team and I drew up a 7-point agenda. The first was to aggressively market the Nigerian solid minerals internationally and locally, divert attention to that sector away from oil. Secondly, we identified security as a major challenge in that sector. You know, those of you who are very conversant with mining, anywhere there is an abundance of solid minerals, especially in Africa, is usually associated with insecurity. Yeah. So it's not peculiar to Nigeria at all. Yes. In fact, one of the countries that should be the richest in the world is DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo. It controls about 70% of the world's supply of cobalt. And these minerals have been exploited by the developed societies for several decades, if not centuries. But today, DRC is holding the shorter end of the stick. There is insecurity, there is banditry, there is instability, there is all kinds of nefarious things you can think of because of the solid minerals there. So, when we talk about insecurity in mining or solid mineral sector in Nigeria, it's not a peculiar phenomenon. If you look at the landscape and do a content analysis, you'll see what I'm talking about. However, on identifying our own challenge, we decided to take the bull by the horns and do something creative, something novel. So I made a presentation to the president for the establishment of a special security architecture devoted solely to combating illegal mining and curbing all the nefarious activities in that sector. And the president graciously agreed, approved it, and we established the mining marshals, which is the first in the history of this country. The security architecture targeted strictly at the solid minerals. And within a year of its operations, the mine marshals have succeeded in apprehending over 300 illegal miners and of course prosecuting currently over 150 of them. And we've secured convictions of over 25 convictions, including foreigners engaging in these untoward activities in the solid mineral sector. So the essence is that a message has been sent to the sector that is no longer business as usual. You can't come into Nigeria and behave with impunity and violate our local regulations with reckless abandon. And that message is sinking fast. I received delegations of miners associations, whether Chinese Miners Association, European, local, and all of that, coming to tell me that yes, they've gotten the message. And everybody is now swearing and vowing to engage in mining operations on a legitimate platform, a legitimate basis, and obey all regulations. And then we met a huge allocation of licenses and titles, clogging the mining space. We had a lot of people with titles, licenses, mining titles, for upwards of 10 years without a single operation, without utilizing those licenses, clogging the space for serious investors to come in. And when we go out to market solid minerals of Nigeria, people ask me questions. We can't get the licenses. Everywhere is clogged up, everywhere is bought off, everywhere is licensed and titled and all of that. So we did a study of all licenses in Nigeria, the dates of issue, the extent of operations or engagement, and those who failed to pay up their obligations to government. We had millions and millions in revenue that was lost because some people refused to pay their obligations, annual service fees, royalties, taxes, and all of that. So I started to embark on massive revocation of such titles that defaulted. And to date, I've revoked over 3,000 licenses. Those who defaulted in payment or meeting their obligations to government. So in essence, all of these policy reforms and initiatives were designed to sanitize the entire ecosystem of the solid minerals in Nigeria. And then we embarked on a policy of local value addition. Hitherto, operators in the sector would come in, dig the minerals out, and ship out raw minerals. And I was in Australia for a conference on mining, and I got talking with the Minister of Minerals in Western Australia, who told me that they took a sample of Nigeria's lithium to their laboratory in Australia and discovered that 1 ounce of our lithium is not just lithium. It contains other associated minerals like nickel. So in essence, what it meant was that people who had been shipping out the lithium from Nigeria would only pay royalty on lithium, but when they got to their own countries, they would separate and discover other minerals to their advantage, shortchanging Nigeria. So we brought out this policy of local value addition. Now you must process in Nigeria. And since then, anybody who applies for mining license without showing us a concrete plan of local value addition, processing here in Nigeria, we don't approve such applications. And this is one of the policies that we put in place that really is gratifying to me personally, because since the announcement of it, those who are operating locally have started converting their operations into factories that will process minerals locally here. And in the last 1 year till now, through that policy alone, we've been able to attract investment into the mining sector of over $1.3 billion. And we are still counting. Next week, we are going to commission one of those factories. Another one in Abuja. There's so many, they are scattered. Refineries are coming up. And all of this is to catalyze the local economy, create multiplier effect, generate employment, technology transfer, and of course, local beneficiation for the host communities. We reviewed our community development agreement, and believe me, South Africa, that is so old in mining, is copying Nigeria's reviewed community development agreement. And this point was made in Cape Town by the president of South Africa himself. And I was in the hall when he announced it, that they've gone to Nigeria to copy the reviewed community development agreement. All of this speak to the efficacy and efficiency of our policy reforms and initiatives and creativity in that sector. That is opening up that sector. Today in Nigeria, everybody is talking about mining. Yes. 2-3 years ago, nobody even knew. Many people did not even know that we had solid minerals. And I get asked abroad that, oh, did you just create the Ministry of Solid Minerals? I said, no, it's been there for ages. It's just that the Tinubu administration, with its magic wine, is opening up the sector. And so we invite all of you from the diaspora to come into this sector, add your own value, and create a catalyst for your country's economy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honourable Minister. From a fellow of the NIPR to another very senior fellow of the NIPR, please help me welcome Honourable Minister of Information and National Orientation, Alhaji Mohammed Idris. Please welcome him with a round of applause. Alhaji Mohammed Idris, by this